So you're looking to understand habits better, right? How to build good ones, maybe break some bad ones.
Yeah, and really become the person you aspire to be.
We've dug into James Clear's Atomic Habits, pulled out the real game changers, the core
The
ideas.
goal here is to give you those key insights, those actionable strategies, without you having to wade through everything. Kind of a shortcut to getting it.
Exactly. Think of it as your toolkit for habit change, our mission, to give you practical stuff you can actually use.
Based directly on Clear's work, of course, we're distilling his principles for you.
Okay, let's jump in. One of the first things that really stood out to me is this concept Clear calls the plateau of latent potential.
Ah, yes. That feeling. It's incredibly common, isn't it? Where you're working hard, putting in the hours.
But nothing seems to be happening. It's so frustrating.
It really is. Clear uses that great analogy of heating an ice cube.
Yeah, like it goes from 25 degrees, 26, up to 31. You're adding heat the whole time.
But visually, nothing. It's still ice. The change only happens, bang, at 32 degrees.
So that energy, that effort you're putting in during that plateau phase,
Yeah.
it's not gone.
Not at all. It's being stored. It's accumulating potential, basically. Like compound interest, but for effort.
Okay, that's actually really encouraging because it feels wasted sometimes.
Absolutely. And it means that what often looks like overnight success, well, it hardly ever is.
Right. It's the result of all that work done during the plateau finally breaking through. Have you seen that happen?
Definitely. In learning skills, in business growth, you grind away, things feel slow, and then suddenly there's this noticeable jump.
So the key is persistence through that phase.
Yeah.
Trusting the process.
Trusting the process is a huge part of it. Understanding that the plateau is normal, expected even, helps you push through instead of getting discouraged.
It's shifting from wanting that instant result to, well, playing the long game.
Exactly. It requires that patience.
Okay, so let's pivot a bit.
Yeah.
Something really fundamental Clear talks about is the link between identity and habits.
This is crucial. He argues our habits aren't just isolated actions. They're deeply tied to our sense of self, who we believe we are.
Can you unpack that a little? How does identity drive behavior?
Well, think about it. If you see yourself as, say, someone who isn't a morning person, getting up early to exercise is going to feel unnatural, like you're fighting yourself.
Even if you consciously want to exercise more.
Yes, because the behavior clashes with your underlying identity. It's hard to sustain actions that contradict your self-image. Clear gives the example of wanting more money, but having the identity of a consumer, not a creator or saver.
So, trying to change the habit without changing the underlying belief. It's not likely to stick.
It's unlikely to last, yeah. The behavior feels temporary, forced. Lasting change often requires shifting those core beliefs about yourself.
How do you do that, though? Change who you believe you are.
This is where it gets really interesting. Claire says you do it through your habits. Each action you take is like casting a vote for the type of person you want to become.
A vote. I like that.
Wait.
So going for that run, even a short one.
Is a vote for being a runner. Or someone who is active and healthy. Writing one sentence is a vote for being a writer.
It makes it less about perfection and more about just showing up and casting those votes.
Precisely. One missed workout doesn't define you. It's the accumulation of votes over time that shapes your identity.
And that's where the atomic part comes in, the small habits. They provide the evidence.
Exactly. These tiny habits, these small wins, they provide proof to yourself that you are that kind of person. Practicing violin makes you a musician one rep at a time. Encouraging an employee casts a vote for being a leader.
It's like you're building the identity from the ground up, with actions.
You are. And as you gather this evidence, you start to build self-trust. You see yourself doing the things you set out to do.
And that belief in yourself grows.
Which makes it easier to keep going, to tackle bigger challenges. It fuels the whole process.
So setbacks are okay, as long as you win the majority of the votes.
That's the idea. Aim to win more often than you lose. Clear basically lays out a two-step process. First, decide the type of person you want to be.
Okay, start with the identity.
Second, prove it to yourself with small wins. Use your habits as evidence.
So it flips the usual goal-setting script. It's not, I want to lose weight. It's, I want to become the type of person who lives a healthy lifestyle.
Exactly. The focus is on becoming, not just having. The outcome is a result of the identity shift powered by habits.
Right. It's about building a new you, essentially.
It really is.
Okay, let's get into the mechanics then. How do habits actually work? Clear talks about a 4-stage loop.
Yes. Every habit, good or bad, follows this pattern. Cue, craving, response, reward. Understanding this loop is key to changing behavior.
Right, break it down. What's the cue?
The cue is the trigger. It's the bit of information that tells your brain, hey, there's a potential reward nearby. Initiate this behavior. Think your phone buzzing. That's a cue.
So it predicts a reward. Like originally it might have been food or safety, but now...
Now it's often secondary rewards. Money, praise, belonging, stress relief, entertainment. Our brains learn to associate cues with these outcomes.
Got it. The trigger. Then comes the craving.
The craving is the motivation, the driving force. It's not usually a craving for the habit itself. Like, you don't crave checking email.
You crave the potential information or relief from uncertainty it might provide.
Exactly. You crave the change in state the habit delivers. The satisfaction, the reduction of boredom, the feeling of connection. That's the craving.
Okay, makes sense. After the craving
Comes the response. That's the actual habit you perform. It could be an action like picking up the phone or even just a thought pattern.
And whether you do the response depends on, if you can, if it's easy enough.
Yes. Ability is key here. If the action requires too much effort, physically or mentally, you're less likely to do it, even with a cue and craving.
And the final stage, the reward.
The reward does two things. One, it satisfies the craving, relief. Two, it teaches your brain, hey, that sequence cue, craving, response worked out. Let's remember that for next time.
So pleasure reinforces the loop, disappointment weakens it.
Precisely. The reward closes the loop and makes the whole sequence more automatic in the future.
And if any of these four stages are missing or weak, the habit doesn't form.
Correct. No cue, nothing starts, no craving, no motivation. Response too hard, you can't do it. No satisfying reward, the brain doesn't learn to repeat it. You need all four.
Okay, so to change habits, we need to manipulate these stages. But first, Clear says, we need awareness. Why start there?
Because so many of our habits run on autopilot. Our brains are incredible prediction machines, constantly scanning, learning cues, automating responses without conscious thought.
Like those experts who just know things. Radiologists seeing tiny anomalies, mechanics hearing a specific engine noise.
Exactly. They've built up this intuitive understanding through repetition. But for our everyday habits, this automaticity means we often don't even notice what we're doing or why.
We just do them without thinking.
Right, and you can't change a habit you're not aware of. So the first step is always bringing those automatic behaviors back into conscious awareness.
How do we do that, practically?
Claire suggests a couple of simple but effective methods. One is called pointing and calling.
Pointing and calling, like they do on trains in Japan.
Kind of. It's used in safety-critical systems. You verbalize your actions as you do them to force awareness. For personal habits, just saying it out loud, like, I am now picking up my phone to check Instagram, can make you pause and notice.
Huh. Just naming the action.
Yeah.
Interesting. What's the other one?
The habits scorecard. You literally list out your daily habits, maybe from waking up to going to sleep.
Like wake up, check phone, brush teeth, make coffee.
Exactly. And then you simply mark each one as positive, plus, negative, or neutral based on your goals. It just makes you see the patterns.
I bet that can be pretty eye-opening, seeing it all laid out.
It really can. Just the act of observing brings awareness.
Okay, so we're aware of our habits now. How do we start building new ones effectively? Clear talks about a specific study.
The 2001 British exercise study. Yeah, that's a powerful one. They had 3 groups, remember?
Right. Control group, one group got motivation info, and the third group.
The third group had to make a specific plan. I will behavior at time and location. They formed an implementation intention.
And the results were staggering, weren't they?
Hugely different. The planning group, the implementation intention group, had a 91% success rate in exercising at least once a week. The other groups were down around 35-38%.
Wow. Just having a concrete plan makes that much difference.
It transforms a vague intention like, I want to exercise more, into a specific action trigger. Your brain knows exactly what to do, when, and where. It removes the ambiguity.
So be specific. Got it. And then there's habit stacking. How does that fit in?
Habit stacking is brilliant. It leverages habits you already have. The formula is, after current habit, I will new habit.
So you anchor the new habit to an existing one.
Yes. Like, after I pour my morning coffee, I will meditate for 1 minute. Or, after I take off my work shoes, I will change into my workout clothes. You use the completion of the current habit as the cue for the next one.
That seems much easier than just trying to remember a new habit out of the blue.
It is, because the cue is already built into your routine.
Yeah.
And you can even chain them together, right? Create a little positive habit cascade.
A sequence of good habits.
Nice.
Okay. So that leads us perfectly into the first law of behavior change, Make it obvious.
This is all about the power of cues and the environment. We touched on it, but it's fundamental. Our environment shapes our behavior far more than we realize.
Because we're visual creatures, we react to what we see.
Hugely. Vision is our most dominant sense. So small changes in what's visible, what's prominent in our environment, can lead to big shifts in our actions.
So design your space for success.
Absolutely. Make the cues for your good habits obvious and visible. Put your running shoes by the door. Keep a fruit bowl on the counter. Put your guitar stand in the middle of the living room.
And conversely, make the cues for bad habits invisible. Hide the cookies. Delete the distracting apps.
Exactly. Reduce exposure to the triggers for habits you want to break. Out of sight, often out of mind, or at least less tempting.
Clear also mentions that sometimes changing your environment entirely can be helpful, like going to a new place.
Yes. A new environment doesn't have all those pre-existing cues and triggers associated with your old habits. It's easier to build new patterns when you're not fighting the ingrained associations of your usual surroundings.
Like starting a new routine when you move house or start a new job.
Or even just going to a different coffee shop to work or rearranging your room. It disrupts the autopilot.
The Vietnam War heroin addiction example really drives this home, doesn't it?
It's a stark example. Soldiers heavily addicted in Vietnam where cues were everywhere. But back home, in a completely different environment without those triggers.
The vast majority just stopped relatively easily. It shows how powerful context is.
It really underscores that habits are often tied to specific environments. Change the environment, change the habit.
Okay, law 1, make it obvious. Let's move to law 2, make it attractive.
Right. The more appealing, the more desirable a habit seems, the more likely we are to do it. This taps into our brain's reward system.
Dopamine. Is that involved here?
Big time. Dopamine isn't just about experiencing pleasure, it's hugely about anticipating pleasure. That anticipation is what drives motivation.
So the brain releases dopamine before we even get the reward.
Yes. That spike in dopamine makes us want to repeat the behavior that led to the anticipation. It creates the craving. Think about gambling, or even just checking notifications. The anticipation hooks us.
So to build good habits, we need to make that anticipation stronger, make them seem more attractive.
Exactly. We need to associate them with positive feelings. One technique Clear offers is temptation bundling.
Temptation bundling, how does that work?
You pair something you need to do with something you want to do. The formula is basically 1, after current habit, I will habit I need. 2, after habit I need, I will habit I want.
Okay, give me an example.
Like, after I finish this work report, need, I will watch an episode of my favorite show, want, or only listen to my favorite podcast, want, while I'm exercising, need.
So you link the less appealing task to an immediate reward you actually look forward to.
Clever. It makes the need habit more attractive because it becomes the gateway to the want habit.
And social influence plays a huge role in attractiveness, too.
Yeah.
What others are doing.
Absolutely. We're social animals. Clear breaks it down into imitating the close and imitating the many.
Okay, imitating the close, our friends and family.
Yeah. We soak up the habits and standards of the people we spend the most time with. If your friends all value reading, you're more likely to find reading attractive. Think of the Polgar sisters in chess.
So choose your friends wisely, in a sense. Surround yourself with people whose habits you admire.
It definitely helps. Their norms become your norms. Then there's imitating the many.
Fitting in with the tribe.
Pretty much. We have a deep desire for belonging and approval. We tend to adopt behaviors that are considered normal or popular within our culture or group. The Asch conformity experiments showed this clearly.
If everyone else is doing it, it seems like the right attractive thing to do.
Exactly. We want that respect and praise that comes with fitting in.
Clear also talks about reframing, changing how you think about a habit.
Yes, shifting your perspective. Instead of seeing exercise as a chore, I have to work out, reframe it as an opportunity. I get to build strength and relieve stress.
Focusing on the benefits, not the difficulty.
Right. Viewing saving money not as deprivation, but as building future freedom. It makes the habit mentally more attractive.
And the flip side, for bad habits, make them unattractive.
Highlight the downsides. Focus on the negative consequences to reduce their appeal.
Got it. So, law 3, make it easy. Why is ease so critical?
Because, fundamentally, habits form through repetition. It's about getting the reps in, as Clear says, not necessarily about intensity at first, but frequency.
Like practicing scales on an instrument. It's the repeated action that builds the skill, the automaticity.
Exactly. The more you do something, the stronger the neural pathways become neurons that fire together, wire together. It becomes easier, more automatic over time.
So to maximize repetitions, we need to lower the barrier to entry, reduce friction.
Precisely. Make the desired habit the path of least resistance. This often comes back to environment design again.
Like putting your gym bag by the door.
Yeah.
Or choosing a gym that's on your commute.
Yes. Removing steps, removing decisions, making it as simple as possible to just start. Think, lean production, eliminate wasted effort.
And for bad habits, the opposite. Increase friction.
Make them harder to do. If you have to walk to another room to get your phone, or manually enter a long password for a distracting website, you add friction.
That friction can be enough to deter the action sometimes.
Often it is. We naturally gravitate towards the easiest option.
The 2-minute rule fits in here perfectly, doesn't it?
It's a core strategy for making things easy. Whatever new habit you're starting, scale it down so the very first step takes less than 2 minutes.
Read every day becomes read one page. Run a 5K becomes put on running shoes.
Exactly. It's about making it ridiculously easy to start. You can't really argue with putting on your shoes.
Yeah.
The momentum often carries you further, but the key is that easy start.
It lowers that initial activation energy.
Perfectly put. Then there are commitment devices, making future you stick to the plan. Yes, these are choices you make now to lock in future behavior, like Victor Hugo having his clothes locked away.
Or pre-committing to a workout class, setting up automatic savings transfers.
Or buying food in individual packages to prevent overeating. Even casino self-exclusion programs. You're making it hard or impossible for your future self to back out or indulge.
And automation is the ultimate form of making it easy, right?
Sure. Setting up systems so good habits happen without effort. Automatic bill pay, subscription refills for vitamins, using software to block distracting sites.
Like the cash register automating honesty.
Great example. But we have to be wary of how technology makes bad habits easy too.
Autoplay on videos, one-click ordering for junk food.
Exactly. Convenience cuts both ways. Clear's example of resetting his social media passwords to make logging in harder is a good counter strategy.
So, the inversion. Make bad habits difficult. Add friction. Use commitment devices against them. Remove automation.
You got it.
Okay, that brings us to the fourth and final law. Make it satisfying. Why is satisfaction the final piece?
Because our brains are wired for immediate rewards. We evolved in environments where quick feedback was crucial for survival. Eat food, feel good, touch fire, feel pain.
But modern life is different. Delayed gratification.
Very different. It's mostly a delayed return environment. The rewards for good habits, health, wealth, knowledge often take months or years to show up. But the rewards for bad habits, sugar rush, nicotine buzz, instant entertainment, are immediate.
And the costs are reversed too, right? Good habits often feel like effort now. Bad habits feel easy now, but have costs later.
Exactly. Our brains tend to overweight the present moment. That immediate satisfaction, or lack thereof, is incredibly powerful in shaping what we repeat.
Which leads to Clear's cardinal rule of behavior change.
What is immediately rewarded is repeated. What is immediately punished is avoided.
So, for good habits with delayed benefits, we need to find a way to inject some immediate satisfaction.
Yes, especially in the beginning. We need to give our brain a reason to feel good about completing the habit right now.
How do we do that?
Visual betterment is a great way. Habit trackers are a prime example.
Just making that check mark, filling in that box.
It provides immediate visual proof of progress. It feels good. It satisfies that craving for completion and signals to your brain that was successful.
So habit tracking does three things. The visual cue, it motivates by showing progress, and it's immediately satisfying.
Nailed it. Food journals, workout logs, even just putting a marble in a jar after completing a task, they all provide that reinforcing feedback.
But Clear warns about Goodhart's law here, doesn't he? When a measure becomes a target, it ceases to be a good measure.
Right. Be careful not to optimize only for the metric on the tracker. Don't sacrifice quality just to keep the streak alive. Focus on the purpose behind the habit.
Speaking of streaks, he has those two rules. Don't break the chain and never miss twice.
Powerful motivators. Don't break the chain. Leverages our desire for consistency. Seeing an unbroken streak is satisfying.
And never miss twice.
It allows for imperfection. Missing once is an anomaly. Missing twice risks starting a new negative pattern. The key is to get back on track immediately after a slip-up.
And to make bad habits unsatisfying, we can introduce immediate costs.
Exactly. This is where things like accountability partners or habit contracts come in.
Having someone check in on you or setting up a penalty if you fail.
Yes, if you know you'll have to pay a friend $20 or admit failure publicly if you skip a workout, that adds an immediate, unpleasant consequence to the bad habit or inaction. Brian Harris's weight loss contract is a great example.
So the inversion. Make bad habits immediately unsatisfying.
Correct. At an immediate cost or pain point.
Okay, we've covered the 4 laws, but how do we keep going long term? Find habits that suit us. Clear talks about the Goldilocks zone.
Yeah, this acknowledges that we're not all the same. Our personality, our natural talents, they influence what habits feel easier or more rewarding for us.
So part of it is finding the right game to play, aligning habits with your inclinations.
Yes, there's an explore-exploit balance. Explore different things initially, but then exploit the areas where you seem to have a natural advantage or find more intrinsic enjoyment.
Like Scott Adams combining average drawing skills with business knowledge and humor to create Dilbert, playing a unique game.
Exactly. And even when you find the right area, motivation will still fluctuate. Even top performers don't always feel like practicing.
The difference is they show up anyway.
They have systems and discipline. They don't let boredom derail them, because mastery requires pushing through periods where it feels monotonous.
How do you fight that boredom?
Variable rewards can help, like slot machines. The unpredictability keeps things engaging, but fundamentally, it's about finding tasks that are at the edge of your current abilities. That's the Goldilocks rule.
Not too hard, not too easy, just challenging enough to stay focused.
Precisely. That state of flow often happens when challenges match skills, but ultimately, consistency is more important than constantly seeking novelty or peak motivation.
Just keep showing up, keep putting in the reps. And one final piece, clear stresses, is reflection and review.
Absolutely crucial for long-term improvement. Taking time periodically, annually, quarterly to assess your systems, your progress, your mistakes. That's how you refine things and avoid stagnation.
Like elite athletes reviewing their performance.
Exactly. How can you improve if you don't analyze what happened?
So, tying it all together, what's the real secret to lasting results?
It's understanding that habit loop and realizing that desire gets you started, but satisfaction keeps you going. Feeling motivated initiates action. Feeling successful reinforces it.
And it's less about chasing some final state of happiness.
And more about finding satisfaction in the process and becoming the kind of person who lives the life you want through your daily actions. Happiness tends to ensue from meaningful action, as Frankl said.
Right. Habits are the path.
They are the path to building that life.
Okay, so let's quickly recap. We've covered a lot from Atomic Habits. The power of tiny atomic changes compounding over time.
The huge role of identity, changing who you believe you are by changing what you do, casting those votes.
Understanding the 4 stages, cue, craving, response, reward, and the 4 laws that manipulate them. Make it obvious, attractive, easy, and satisfying.
Plus the importance of awareness, planning with implementation intentions, designing your environment, and that crucial element of reflection.
You really do have a solid framework now, a kind of blueprint for understanding and shaping your own habits.
It's like having the essential toolkit from Clear's work, ready to use. A real shortcut to getting started with meaningful change.
So for our final thought for you today, what's one tiny habit, just one thing taking less than 2 minutes that you could start doing today based on all this?
Think about it. How could that single, seemingly small action be the first vote cast for the person you ultimately want to become?
Definitely something to consider. And we highly recommend checking out Atomic Habits itself if you want to go even deeper.